My name is RidersDX. I'm your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber. And I'm gonna serve exactly what you deserve, an in-depth analysis of the leaked Plankton movie.
God, we're happy it died! You're a pink pony girl, and you dance at the club, oh mama.
Listen. I've been looking for an excuse to mention Chaperone for months now, and I just had to take the bait. But anywho, hello Paramecium enthusiasts. I'm RidersDX, and welcome to a special Riders Talks where we have to talk about something we need to keep on the down low. See, we're talking about a SpongeBob movie today, and if you're a Nickelodeon or Netflix executive, you can just assume this is in reference to the movie you just put out. But to summarize, it's not very good, but at least Wanda Sykes had fun. But I mean, is that really a surprise? A SpongeBob spinoff not being very good? It's hardly worth talking about, honestly. The narrative of SpongeBob lasting for way too long has itself gone on for way too long, and all these different shows and movies Nickelodeon keeps shoving out is just not changing the trajectory of these conversations. So I never really had like a reason to talk about things like the Patrick Show or Camp Coral or the Sandy movie. Like it's all like not that good. So there's not really much to talk about. So yes, when I'd heard that a Plankton movie was coming out and that it has also leaked onto the internet the same way the Sandy one did, I had no intention of watching it. I mean, when the Sandy movie originally leaked, everyone was saying how terrible it was, and all honesty, I trust my friend's opinions, so I decided not to watch that movie until it came out on Netflix, and I'm glad I did because it really would not have been worth watching a leaked version of it. But then a disturbance in the trajectory was detected, especially when some of my fellow YouTube friends were insistent that this was actually a very good movie. I can't say my curiosity wasn't piqued, but I was also skeptical. But gosh, if anyone deserves a good movie, it's Plankton. I mean, just this scene alone is reason enough.
Hey, you can't talk to my grandson like that. Someone ought to put you in a mental hospital.
Someone should put you in a box floating down the river, Grandma!
You're probably right.
Thinking back on it, I've had quite the journey with SpongeBob movies throughout my life. The first movie is forever one of my favorite movies of all time. It came at a pivotal moment in my life when I was growing older and struggling to maintain my childlike senses as I grew more aware of how fucking dumb life can be. And it's only something I've grown to appreciate as I've gotten older, which is to maintain the most pure and vibrant parts of yourself no matter what life tries to throw at you. The second movie, while not nearly as good, still had very solid writing and honestly is a funnier movie compared to the first one, and for that, I consider that a success. The third movie doesn't exist, and the Sandy movie at least has Wanda Sykes. So we've been going down to the bottom of the sea when it comes to SpongeBob movies, and I really wasn't expecting this to be any different, but I couldn't ignore what was being said around me. So I did the thing we can't speak about, and I saw it for myself. If you don't want spoilers, now is the time to be wary of it. But if you still want to know why this movie made me cry at least, then feel free to skip to the timestamp on screen to where I'll summarize my overall thoughts on the movie without said spoilers. But otherwise, let's buckle in. I'm just going to come out and say it now. This movie may have a legitimate chance at beating out SpongeBob Water. I almost consider it beating out the first movie, but truth be told, it's too early and there's a huge nostalgia tied to my life thing going out of that movie for me that just cannot be topped. I can already see it now. But putting that aside, the Plankton movie is legitimately one of the best things this series has ever done. The plot of the movie is simple. Plankton fails yet again at stealing the Krabby Patty formula, but Karen, being the lovey-dovey wife she is, tries to make Plankton happy by transforming the chum bucket into a successful business that she believes will lead to Plankton's ultimate goal of world domination. But something this movie tackles is Plankton's unhealthy obsession with stealing the formula, and because of this obsession, Plankton outright rejects Karen's efforts, which sends Karen into one of the biggest mental breakdowns this series has ever depicted. Karen becomes a three-headed Godzilla-like beast and launches a plan to take over the world without Plankton, and it's up to Plankton and SpongeBob to stop Karen while dissecting Plankton's psyche. So here's the main thing I love so much about the Plankton movie, and it is something it shares in common with the first one. I could tell immediately that this movie actually understands Plankton as a character, because the main conflict of this film is centered around tackling Plankton's primary character flaw, flaw, which is his stubbornness in wanting to steal the formula. As the movie states, Plankton has been trying to steal this goddamn recipe for 25 years, and his selfish desire in not admitting defeat and dominating the world his way is what widens that rift in his and Karen's relationship to what seems like irreversible margins. And this is what the first movie did to SpongeBob, albeit in a different way. That movie tackled SpongeBob's childlike nature and how it can be a character flaw in the scheme of things when it comes to more mature situations or tasks. And that whole movie is about SpongeBob reconciling his innate child with his reality. The Plankton movie forces Plankton's hand as he has to choose between his selfish desires and the love of his life. And this forces Plankton to really look in the mirror, acknowledge his biggest faults and how important it actually is to fulfill his goals in his life. Like, why does he want to steal the formula so much? Is that ultimately the more important thing to obtain than world domination, which he and Karen both want? One thing I want to comment on in terms of a highlight is SpongeBob's role in this film. If you've seen the Sandy movie, you can guess what SpongeBob is doing here. He's basically Plankton's companion as he tries to help Plankton reunite with Karen. One of the many issues with the Sandy movie is how unnecessary SpongeBob truly felt in the grand scheme of things. He just seemed like he had to be there to remind us that this is the SpongeBob franchise. And I can't lie, for a good moment, I was feeling the same way about SpongeBob in this movie, until the climactic part of this movie that practically moved me to tears. So SpongeBob is trying to reunite Plankton with Karen, but Plankton has a different idea. In the first half of the movie, he instead tries to basically revive an older model of Karen to take down the Karen that's gone crazy. And this lights a fire under SpongeBob I haven't noticed since the time he was inches away from telling Squidward he was a no-job freeloader. SpongeBob gets angry and tells Plankton that everything is his fault. His incessant selfishness and stubbornness finally drove Karen over the cliff, and Bikini Bottom essentially dissipating is all the result of that disregard for others that is so innate to Plankton's personality. I will say SpongeBob's shift is a bit jarring in this movie because other than that one scene, he spends the whole movie being as hyper and annoying as you would expect. So part of me feels like it isn't that natural, but it really drives home the theme of the movie and challenges the foundation to Plankton's character in a way that I have not seen since the first movie. And me being a huge ass SpongeBob fan that I am, I've grown to love these characters as if they were my own friends. And seeing Plankton feel so low actually almost broke me, and well, I am just naturally an unstable millennial, what can I say? But all that aside, when SpongeBob is given the opportunity to be an actual person with feelings, it just hits so hard, and this was so well done. Putting all this together, seeing Plankton transform the way that he does, choosing love over his obsession, is honestly such a satisfying ending. And gosh, I can't wait for this movie to come out because I definitely want to watch it again. Beyond that, I do have some other comments on the movie I wanted to share. First off, this movie is also funny. I mean, the humor definitely reminds me more of the flavor of Sponge Out of Water than the Golden Age, but I'll certainly take it. The way that this humor stands out in the franchise though is that it's almost a little edgy. The most immediate example I can think of is this one scene where SpongeBob and Plankton are seemingly stabbed by what looks like hundreds of knives. There's even blood on the walls these knives are piercing through. And you think I'm joking, but I'm not. There's literally a scene where it looks like SpongeBob and Plankton are stabbed to death. But if you watch the movie, it's very obvious that these are just tomatoes the knife sliced through. There's also another blood reference, and I feel like these are gonna get cut. That's my truth. I would be so pleasantly surprised if these scenes stayed in because they actually do look a little graphic. But I will say, this movie really does try to stick to the whole vibe and aesthetic of Plankton. It even openly acknowledges it in like the first minute of the movie where Plankton is like, darken the lights or make it more green or whatever. Like, this movie really does feel like it's Plankton's style and aesthetic. And I think that blood, while it would seem very off-putting in a normal SpongeBob movie, sort of fits right in here. So I really hope they don't remove it, but I do know they removed certain jokes that I'm glad they removed in the Sandy movie, so I could very much see these things being removed here. There are also some layered adult jokes I appreciate, like Plankton when he puts on a mask, insinuating that that's a kink he and Karen have. And lastly, a scene that I found way funnier than reasonable. I mean, just look at this clip I sent to Meech after I saw it. There's also a few musical numbers here that I quite enjoyed. What made them all stand out was, along with having unique sound palettes overall, they also are all done in slightly different animation styles. The one that stands out to me is Karen's number, which is partially an anime-styled music video, and I love that. Plankton also has a song that's played to an old-timey cartoon depiction of his childhood, and that one is really quirky too. It really just feels like all the musical numbers actually had a reason for being in the film, and I really enjoyed them. Now, if there's one thing about this franchise that I've been a little bit skeptical about, it's the fact that it's been making so many callbacks to old things in the franchise, and the Plankton movie is no exception to that. However, I feel like the callbacks that they made in this movie are actually quite clever. Like, there's a part in the movie where Plankton and SpongeBob go to the basement of Chum Bucket, and in that basement you can see some of Plankton's old previous plans in previous episodes and movies. The part where SpongeBob puts on a helmet and starts saying "All hail Plankton" just made me feel so warm inside because, like I said, I think that's the movie of a century, that's a movie of a lifetime, and I'm just so glad to see it being given its flowers in this movie. But overall, I really enjoyed this film, and I want to watch it again. So to quickly summarize why the Plankton movie made me cry in a way that doesn't contain spoilers and may consequently cause you to seek out this movie anyway, Plankton's primary character flaws are challenged in a way here that has that same intention that SpongeBob's flaws were in the very first movie. And as someone who will live and die by the fact that the first SpongeBob movie is one of the greatest pieces of cinema of all time, the way that Plankton's foundation was opened up here for examination honestly just had a profound impact on me. I love SpongeBob. Every single character in the series raised me into the deranged adult that I've become, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Maybe the movie isn't as funny as Chocolate with Nuts, but to me, it has a heart of episodes like Pizza Delivery and Christmas Who, and that's almost even more impressive to me, because how many episodes of the show are there now? How many movies have we gotten? How many video games? You know, sure, the show can get away with having like some funny jokes here and there because comedy comes a little bit more naturally compared to other things. But that heartfelt, you know, down-to-earth messaging of SpongeBob that was really prominent in the first season in particular is something I really got from this movie. The fact that they still managed to tell such an impactful story starring one of the best characters of the show, it just gives me hope that SpongeBob still has it in him to tell great and engaging stories that will touch the hearts of people of all ages for years to come. And you know what? Long live SpongeBob. If we can have more stuff like this, then SpongeBob can last for as long as he wants. I know that's not realistic, but I mean, if we have like 10 trashy things and one treasure like this, then you know, I think I'd be okay with that. I truly would be, because this movie really was just such a pleasant surprise and I loved it. I honestly loved it. I can't stop thinking about it. I can't wait for it to come out. I really wish this had come out instead of Sandy movie, but what you gonna do? When you wait for it to come out officially or you somehow stumble upon it, please, for the love of God, watch this fucking movie when it comes out. I seriously cannot praise it enough. I'm so happy as a lifelong SpongeBob fan that this exists, and it's just so special to me. It's super special, and I'm not exaggerating a single detail of this video. So you'll have to see it for yourself, but it's too bad this didn't come out this year because Plankton could have really had the most brat summer of all brat summers.
Yeah, 360.
I mean, come on, green color, Plankton being a bit of a bitch in this movie. I mean, he truly is the epitome of brat. But anyway, y'all, that's everything I had to say about this movie. Let me know in the comment section, have you watched this movie? Let me know your thoughts, because I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this now. I need this movie to be out now. I just need it to be a part of the SpongeBob canon. Please don't let it get canceled in a Warner Brothers like move. Like, it's too perfect. It cannot. It has to come out is all I'm gonna say. I'm in deranged territory now. I truly am. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and let me know if there's any other SpongeBob things you want me to talk about, because while the games are kind of light in terms of content, I would love to talk about more SpongeBob things. So if there's anything in particular you want me to discuss, then let me know. Don't ask me to talk about the Sandy movie though, because I literally will only have like 2 sentences for that movie. But anyway, y'all, thank you so much. This is Riders, riding out.